Hey everybody, welcome back to Matt and Stu Review, where we're taking a look at your favorite toys from yesterday and today. Stuart, what do we have on the table?
Today we're going to take a look at my custom Catwoman that I made from a Marvel Legends Black Widow figure.
Awesome, custom figure. I'm excited.
Yeah. So I actually based this figure on a Marvel Legends Black Widow figure that came out in 2024,
Okay.
kind of a Black Widow Deluxe. Once I saw the body, I knew that I wanted a Marvel Legends Catwoman.
Yeah.
I really love the articulation scheme on the Marvel Legends figures. I like how they actually feel like toys, and they're at a price point, not like a Asian import toy where you feel like you're gonna break it or mess it up.
Yeah.
You don't want to customize something like that. I really appreciate kind of where Hasbro Marvel Legends like hit in the figure realm.
Yeah.
So I wanted, I'm now undertaking a whole DC Legends, Marvel Legends conversion process
DC
project.
Legends by Stu.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
I'm definitely not the first to do that. There's other people that have done,
I'm sure.
Marvel Legend conversions, but
Everything's been done.
you're right.
Yeah.
Everything has been done.
It looks like a great figure to build a Catwoman from, right? All black leather suit. It's like it doesn't have like the stitching like a Catwoman, but you could probably like paint some of that on if you wanted to go that far.
And I don't
Not
mind
necessary.
a simple Catwoman.
Yeah, it's kind of Anne Hathaway Catwoman. Like she didn't have that like Michelle Pfeiffer Catwoman vibe.
No.
Right? Was her thing seemed
a little more
chill.
jumpsuity like this. Like
Yeah.
Michelle Pfeiffer was for sure in a full-on body cat suit with the zippers and like really I have to say I have to give Michelle Pfeiffer credit for sparking my love of Catwoman in the first place.
Yep, we all do.
But the kind of the Catwoman figures that are available on the market, I find all lacking in one way or another.
Okay.
And I'm really pleased with how this one came out. Like I was pretty nervous about actually getting in and customizing a figure just because I'm a perfectionist and I didn't want to be disappointed with my own results. But in the end, I was really happy with this.
So what specifically did you customize on this figure?
So the body started as the Marvel Legends Black Widow. The head is actually a 3D printed head from a eBay seller called Collectible Carnage.
Okay.
So that came to me raw, 3D printed. I primed the head, I fully painted the face, and that's what I was really apprehensive about was like getting a good facial, paint effect on a figure of that size. I've painted lots of Warhammer faces in the past.
You've painted plenty of things.
But those are tiny and you just put a wash on them and that fills in all the gaps and the paint is, the face is done.
It's kind of fun to do something like this. Like I painted a bust of, was it Batgirl?
Yeah, that's
like
right.
A couple years ago, right when I first got a resin printer. I wanted something like a little bit larger format to actually get some like skin tone and like variations in their face, something that's bigger than a, tiny figure and like dot for an eyeball and like mess it up. I was like, oh, I could actually like paint color in an eye. So it's something like this I think would be pretty fun to do.
Yeah. Just another thing to add, I've also been working on some other figures where I'm using ProCreate Putty, which is like a an acrylic sculpting putty that they
two-part?
do. Yes.
Okay.
Sort of like green stuff, but a little more. It sets up a little harder, and you're able to kind of tailor the results.
Yeah.
So I made her whip out of that. I had some extra stuff mixed up. You can pull it out of her hand. It's totally like an action figure accessory. You can see I did a little textured hand grip on it, as well as the like leather painted
and like a little like frayed piece at the very end,
flail at the end, as if it were a real whip.
Yeah, man, that's awesome. I think it's a perfect accessory for her. Did the Legends character come with anything else? Like
the Marvel Legends character, it was a deluxe figure, so it actually came with 3 heads, one of which I use for my custom April O'Neil figure.
Okay.
And she had some more accessories on her body to turn her into Black Widow. She had her like widow wrist things, and she had like a belt on. I took the belt off. I thought, just clean, sleek, all black.
Yeah.
I even kept her goggles kind of like a black silver as opposed to like a bright silver, just to keep it muted.
Yeah, it's kind of that like, I guess, I don't know, DC universe, but like modern Marvel universe, like color scheme. Yeah. Like it's like kind of, realistic.
It's
not like super exaggerated.
Yeah. It's a character design that I don't have too much experience with as far as Catwoman goes in the comics and stuff. For me, like my Catwoman is either Batman the Animated Series Catwoman or, Michelle Pfeiffer, Batman Returns Catwoman.
Yep.
Catwoman with goggles, is something more modern that I've seen, plenty of art with a goggled Catwoman, but I hadn't ever, undertaken one myself. But actually, I really like the way it turned out.
Yeah, it looks good, man. So, Stuart, I see you grabbed a couple of other Catwoman figures. Why don't you tell us what we got here in front of us?
So I grabbed these figures to kind of show you why I decided to make a custom Catwoman figure. So we have a Catwoman here from McFarlane that is essentially the same sort of like the same sort of costume.
Yeah, it's like jumpsuity. So totally, it's like very similar.
But the proportions on that figure are so weird. It's really hard to take a good picture of that figure without it just looking like it's all legs with the weird short torso and like a tiny head. And if you look, I feel like her head is about the same size as my Marvel Legend figure,
But
even though that's a 7-inch
she's
figure.
an inch taller, and she's like, the torso's for sure kind of short and funny, and like the legs are really long looking. Like it's like her shin,
really
like,
long.
The thighs I think are fine, but like the shin is too long with that heel. Something's weird there. Yeah.
So I liked the design, but again, like the figure didn't do it for me.
Okay.
So next I got this Darwin Cook Catwoman figure, and he's actually credited, I learned from Nat, our guy in the chair, with creating the goggled sort of cat suit Catwoman, this like more modern Catwoman costume style.
Yeah.
So I really like that figure. I like the sort of animated style of it, but it's not going to fit in with any other figures that I have. So, and also, if you try to move her legs around, the articulation is very limited on those.
Yeah, there's no like rotational to anything. Like the feet rotate, but that's it. It's pretty.
Yeah,
it's not very jointed.
It's just to put on display, and I love having that figure on display. I love her, like the style of her face, and
the face paint is like pretty good. And it's like it's kind of like the Batman. Like I feel like the Batman must have been themed after this one.
But so that's that one. Not enough articulation.
Yep.
Then I have a highly articulated Mafex, import figure. And this one just ends up kind of feeling flimsy. She's a little smaller than anything that I'd want to scale her with if I'm going to take, action figure photos with multiple figures.
Well, those shoulders are super weird. The articulation on that shoulder is weird.
Yeah, they take it's too much articulation.
Sure,
so it's taken kind of to the other extreme.
She kind of reminds me of like the old Batman figures we had when we were kids.
Yeah.
Like not in the articulation, but just like how spindly.
And hard plastic, that kind of hard plastic feel.
But it definitely has like an Anne Hathaway Batman vibe.
It does.
Like that's like I don't know, her face suit goggle vibe is like.
And I really enjoy this figure, for what it is, but it still didn't hit that spot for me, which I'm really pleased to say I made a figure that hits that spot for me, which I kind of can't believe.
Yeah, I think it's pretty good. I think it's probably the best Catwoman on the table.
Well, Matt, I guess I have to go out on a limb here and ask you, how would you rate my custom Catwoman figure?
Well, okay, compared to the other Catwomen on the table, definitely the best Catwoman that I've seen here. So that's high praise. I'm gonna give her a 9 out of 10, only because I did like the spiky fingers of one of those. I think like she could have a little more Catwoman-ness to her. As far as like a Catwoman, I think it's great. It's definitely the best one I saw. 9 out of 10.
Thank you. Yeah, I'll say I do have to admit she was a really, really easy custom in that I just swapped her head and essentially she was Catwoman. There's probably a little bit more work I could have done as far as sculpting, which is something I'm trying to do more and more of.
Sure.
I appreciate the 9. I'm going to give her an 8 for a figure. I really like her a lot, but I'm going to reserve my 9 for maybe the next custom I do.
Right. Yeah. Fair enough. Okay. Cool. And we want to hear from you. So what is your favorite Catwoman between all media types, movies, comics, cartoons? Stuart, what are you thinking?
I gotta go with Batman the Animated Series. I love that Catwoman.
Yeah.
She kind of set in my mind, actually between her and Michelle Pfeiffer, they set that Catwoman was blonde.
Yeah.
And every version of Catwoman since then has had black hair or been a brunette. I'm just partial to the old blonde BTAS.
There you go. Fair enough.
How about you?
You already mentioned her. I think Michelle Pfeiffer Catwoman, like formative. I was young, impressionable. The suit was so iconic. And she was a pretty awesome Catwoman.
She was awesome. She was scary. She was sexy.
Yeah, she was all the things. So Michelle Pfeiffer, definitely.
Thanks for watching. This has been my custom Catwoman figure based on a Marvel Legends Black Widow figure.
And if you like custom figures like this and reviews like these, don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next episode.